Welcome to episode 59. This week on the show, Disney will soon have a ton of new power, the true reason why the Main Street USA theater project was canceled, and a new physically personal patent is revealed. Joey and I also read some 1-star reviews from TripAdvisor and discover the only 100% 5-star feature at the Walt Disney World Resort, all before taking a ride on Test Track over at Epcot. Stay tuned. Broadcasting from the Dreamport.
One Little Spark Podcast.
Oh, hello there.
Do you want to connect with our show?
Find us online at onelittlesparkpodcast.com.
Hello.
And on social media by searching for One Little Spark Podcast.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Rich here, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Joey. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Party on, Rich.
Party on. So, how was your week?
It's been a good week. Productive, and things are good. Life is good.
Good, man. Yeah, same with me, actually. I have a lot going on recently. So, here's what I did. I actually got out again and saw another movie. I saw Ready Player One, and I loved it.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh.
Was that awkward?
Yeah. Well, no, I actually went in not actually knowing what the movie was about because I didn't see any preview. All I heard was, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Now, here's the thing I would say about that. I saw so many little things, like even split-second things I noticed on like the corner of the screen, like Battletoads running by and little tiny sound effects, and way off in the distance, I saw these things that, unless you are, one, a nerd, two, grew up in like the 80s or 90s, or maybe you just don't like video games at all, you probably wouldn't even enjoy this, I don't think, because a lot of stuff wouldn't make sense to you, or it wouldn't matter to you. So there was a lot of times I noticed in the film that I was smiling because of stuff I saw. Another thing that I loved about the movie was that it seemed like a realistic version of the future. You know, sometimes we get stuff like Back to the Future where there's flying cars and holograms, and it's not that much into the future. And if you think about 50 years ago, we haven't advanced that much as far as, you know, like cars and houses. We have, but not as much as what they portray in movies usually whenever they only go 50 years in the future. Yeah. And I think that's like 20 years from now, and they have stuff that you think would probably be around then, like the virtual reality. They still had things that are primitive, though, or what we currently have, like slightly more advanced things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they had slightly more advanced VR, they had slightly more advanced vehicles, but nothing crazy where everything's just so futuristic it's not realistic. So it looked like a realistic version of the future, you know, besides the porting memories into a like a virtual world and all that. But all in all, though, I loved the movie. There was a lot of fun stuff in it, and it felt like an adventure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I've been trying to get back to the theaters to see it in 3D because I saw it in 2D originally. And I just imagined that it's going to be that much better in 3 dimensions with all of the complexities that are, like you said, all the little details and nuance that they litter the screen with. I want to be able to see that. And sometimes in 3D, that stuff sort of pops out and looks better. So I want to go back and see it again, but it's probably going to be out of theaters here pretty soon. So if I don't go see it in the next day or two, I'm probably going to miss it. But you know, what was interesting is I've been looking at reviews and, you know, and listening to people complain about the movie. And it's like, you know, when you have a story about a guy who's going to win $1 trillion or $500 billion by playing video games, it's like you can't really take it all that serious, right? You just got to go along with the adventure and have a little fun. And it is a lot of fun. I loved the characters. Okay, love is maybe a strong word. I really enjoyed their journey and going along with them. And I never really felt like they were in too much peril. And I want to see it again. I probably will get it when it comes out on video.
Yeah, I thought it was great. So another thing that is really exciting, and I know this is something I kind of feel bad for, and here's the reason why. If you guys have been listening to the show for the past, I'd say 5 months, you've heard me talk about a little show that I've been working on in the background called the Magic Ear Theater. And what this show is the backstories of the characters either already created by Disney or newly created that we would add, our own spin to, like basically a fan fiction radio drama that's Disney themed. So I started this idea, way back in September, I think, October, and I actually went back in the last few days and re-listened to the Haunted Mansion thing that we did with Gabe and Nikki, and it's still fun to listen to. So if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to the Halloween episode where Joey and I talked about the scariest attractions, not thrill-wise, but actually scary. Anyway, it's on that episode, and from then, it made me really interested in working on a whole new series, a whole new show that's not related to Disney news and all that, but like I said, about the stories that we would make up. And we started working on it back in December, and we got voice actors, and then life happened, where it just got insane with schedules. I got a new job where now I work 60 hours a week. But, I found time recently to finally knock the dust off the script and get it started. And what I'm excited about is that finally we have wrapped on a few of the recording sessions, and we still have a handful to go before I can start editing the first episode. But again, sorry it's been taking so long. Life's been crazy, so stay tuned for more updates. And so, okay, if you're new to hearing about this and you're like, wait, what is he talking about? There is a Facebook page, so if you haven't already and you'd like to follow that, head over to Facebook and look for Magic Ear Theater. There's a page only at the moment, and there is a group, but it's hidden, and I'm not really ready to bring that out yet. And there's also a Twitter if you're not on Facebook. There's no Instagram. I don't know if I plan on bringing that out, but we are working in the background. We got a couple sessions done. We have a couple scheduled for next week with the actors. There's writers. We have 3 other scripts ready to go. So we're slowly working on that, and it's a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. But that's some exciting thing to announce, Joey.
I'm very excited. I can't wait to hear it. And you're even keeping me in the dark on some of this stuff. So I'm excited because I don't even know what's coming down the track, and but I know a little bit. I know enough to know that this is going to be super cool, and I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I was just sitting there listening to the voice actors read their lines, and I'm like smiling because some of them are really funny. There's some funny lines and great characters, and you guys are going to love it. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I cannot wait to hear this as a fan of something that I'm creating. So I'm excited. Yep. So stay tuned for that. And one last thing before we kick off the show is, if you haven't already, head over to iTunes and be like our friends who have added their reviews recently and give us a 5-star written review today. So, all right, we have so much to get to, Joey, and we'll get to that fun right after this.
Hello everyone, this is Kelly from Epic Disney Escape, and this week I'm going to be talking about how I cope with living so far from any Disney park or resort. So if you don't know, I actually live in Seattle, Washington. Seattle's not really known for its Disney attractions. It's actually kind of hard to get to any Disney park from Seattle. The closer one, Disneyland, is about 2.5 to 3 hour flight away, and then you have to drive from LAX south into Anaheim. It does take quite some time to get there. Now, the farther away park, Walt Disney World, it takes about 5.5 to 6 hour flight to get there, and that's if you're lucky and don't have a layover somewhere. Now, those are just the flight times, but if you add in having to get to the airport from where you live, and then going through security, and then just waiting in general for your airplane, it basically takes a day for me to get to any Disney park. This obviously means that I don't get to go to Disney parks as often as I would like to. How do I deal with being so far away from the places that I love? There are the obvious things like watching a Disney movie, and that goes a long way. I mean, who doesn't like watching a Disney movie? Singing Disney songs in the car with your children. Yes, I do that every single day. But there has to be something more in the Seattle area that you can be able to do. And I actually did find something that I was able to do with Christina a couple weeks back when she was able to come and visit me here in Seattle. That thing was opening the Disney store. Where I live and the mall that's very close to me does not have a Disney store anymore. But there is a Disney store that's sort of close to me, about a half an hour away. So we decided to go there and open the store. Now, what does that mean? There's actually a ceremony that they do every morning if somebody is waiting outside the store to do it with them. When the cast members at the Disney store close the night before, they actually set out some velvet ropes that are attached to a giant mystical looking keyhole. And in the morning, when they go to open the store, if somebody is waiting there for them, they bring out a giant key and they do a ceremony where you get to unlock the mystical looking keyhole. You do it with pixie dust and saying bippity boppity boo. It's very Disneyfied. And the ropes drop and you're allowed into the store. Now, at the time that we did it, there was actually several children waiting for the store to open. So we didn't get to do it ourselves. We got to do it as a group with all of the children. Obviously, we're not going to be running up to the keyhole and pushing the kids out of the way so that we're able to do this as, 30-something-year-old adults. But we were front and center for the opening with all the other children, and we were able to say the magic words and turn the key with everybody else's help too. At the end of the ceremony, they actually gave us a special green Disney key. The head of the key is shaped like Cinderella Castle, and the end of the key, the handle part, is shaped like the Disney D. It's very, very pretty. I will be using mine as a Christmas ornament. So every year when I go to decorate my Christmas tree, I can pull out this wonderful little key and be reminded of how one time I was able to open the Disney store with my Disney friend, Christina. Now, I'm pretty sure that every single Disney store does this opening. At least that's what I've been told. But I highly suggest calling the store before showing up at a mall early in the morning before a store opens to make sure that they actually do this ceremony at your local Disney store. Well, that's this week's suggestion on how to cope with living so far from any Disney park. If you're looking for more epic experiences or epic magic, check out Epic Disney Escape on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
And now, the latest news.
Extra, extra!
This week in the news, we spoke about this a few episodes back about Disney joining Origis Energy USA to build a massive 270-acre, 50-megawatt solar farm on property. And this is planned to be completed by the end of this year, which is exciting because there's only, 9 months left? 8 months?
Yeah.
But recently, Disney announced that this will generate enough energy to power 2 theme parks at the resort. This will reduce annual greenhouse gas emissions by more than 52,000 metric tons and is basically equivalent to removing 9,300 cars from the road each year. Basically, this equates to 25% of the power used on property during peak sun hours. What I think is awesome about that is, finally they're doing something like that, but it's awesome that they're taking that in their own hands to generate their own power. What I wish they would do is maybe instead of having this off to the side near one of the theme parks, do what Legoland did and what we talked about a couple shows ago and make it like a structure above the parking lots to create shade above the vehicles as well as generate that power in the parking lots. But I guess they're not doing that. And I still think it's kind of neat. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd be curious to find out why they chose not to put them in the parking lots. Makes me wonder if maybe they have plans for the parking lots. I've heard rumors that they might be turning some of the TTC parking into structured
God,
parking.
I wish.
Yeah, so it's as big as it is. There's a lot they can still do with that land if they go vertical with it. But I agree with you. I don't see the point of clearing natural land and trees and brush and swamps and all that stuff to put solar panels in. But I'm expecting Disney probably did some kind of EPA test or study to see if that was the right way to go. I'm trusting they did the right thing with it. So yay power, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you could have probably just covered the parking lots and because you already paved over Paradise, so let's pave over the parking lots with photovoltaic cells.
Energy. Womp, womp, womp. That's cool, though. I know that there's the hidden Mickey one right off by Epcot and another smaller one right near there. So it's cool that they're popping up.
Now we just need the driverless cars. Oh,
they're
wait.
coming. I heard a rumor that they're going to be testing them out on cast members.
Yeah, that's they're like, put them at the DC, what do they call the CPs? They're like, send the CPs in those driverless cars. They're
the college
expendable.
program kids. Yeah. They're temporary anyway, so
Yeah, it's
something
fine.
happens, it's not like we're losing a real valued employee.
They're like, hey, before you start your shift, take a little car ride over to West Clock real quick. Hopefully you don't die.
Well, Joey, we spoke about the theater on Main Street, USA, being canceled, and didn't know why exactly. So I found out recently, and do you want to know?
I definitely want to know.
Well, too bad.
Was it solar flares? Was it?
No. They just said theater is not fun, and they canceled it.
No. Did they really say that?
No,
they didn't say
not
that.
at all. The reason why is monorails. Heavily rumored online is speculation that the theater project was canceled for the immediate future to replace the fleet of monorails at Walt Disney World due to the heavy maintenance required downtime and recent issues such as falling parts, common breakdowns, and doors opening while in operation. The new fleet will be built by Bombardier of Canada, and the cost is estimated at $7.5 million per train. $1 million.
Per train? Holy cow, that's an
Yeah.
expensive train.
Disney buys Fox for the billions, so...
For a better reference on how these new monorails will look, Google image search for Bombardier. I don't know if that's like a French word, Bombardier.
Well, they're Canadian, so yeah.
Bombardier. It's probably like Bombardier or something.
Probably.
Innovia 300, that's the model. And Disney would have chassis adjustments to make the fleet look more Disney.
Look more magical.
Yes, we want your monorails, but you need to make them look more Disney.
They're like explaining the horsepower and like the, the electronics and the features. And they're like, yeah. We need to have Mickey ears.
Did you ever hear that story that Bob Gurr tells when they built the monorail system at Walt Disney World, and they were concerned about driving it through the buildings, and so they were building the Contemporary, and they had these structural engineers, and they're like, this monorail is going to shake this building to pieces, and it's going to collapse one day, and all these people are going to die. And he's like, nonsense, that's not going to happen. And they're like, okay, well, prove it. And he was like, all you got to do is take a monorail down the track as fast as it can go right through the building and have like a, seismometer in the building and see how much, it shakes. And they're like, okay, well, you're going to pilot it. So he hopped in a monorail and he took it up to top speed. He flew it right through the station there at the Contemporary without stopping. And the seismometer didn't even wiggle once.
Yeah. It's like its own structure. I can imagine him. He's just like with a train hat, even though it's a monorail, like choo-choo, mother effers. Like right through the building. The top speed on the monorail is 40 miles, though. So he's like,
I'm going top speed.
and, it's not even.
Hey,
that
40
fast.
miles from the TTC to nonstop to the Magic Kingdom will get you there pretty quick.
Bob Gurr is so awesome. He's like 98. No, I think he's like 92 though, but he still like does like marathons or something, doesn't he?
That I don't know. You could ask Gabe and Nikki though. They just had some entertaining conversations with him over at his house there in the Glendale area.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've read other interviews and stuff like that, but yeah, no, I could see that. He's just smiling, and he's been old for like 40 years already, so I could
He
see
is
him.
86 years old, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was a
So
little.
he was
off.
pretty young when he started going to work. It was 55 when he,
Yeah.
54, 55 when he started working with, Wed Enterprises, right when Disneyland was opening, and he was a young man at the time.
It's crazy that we still have people that work directly with Walt alive and going to conventions and everything. But he's a great guy. If you haven't got the chance, go and listen to Theme Park Duo last season on their show. They had him on their finale episode, and it's a really, really good episode. He's really entertaining to listen to, and he's one of those guys you can just sit like at a bar or a couch and just listen to so many stories and never be bored. The way he tells them too is just so great. So, another awesome thing I wanted to talk about, Joey, and this is something that I don't hear much of on many other Disney shows that they ever really talk about, but that is the new patents and technology that we talk about and stuff that we've talked about in the past years, stuff like the fireworks you can virtually feel, attractions, functions that change depending on how you feel in the ride. Like if you're scared, it will not be as scary. Also, rooms that would wirelessly charge your phone and stuff like that. But recently, I read about something called the Force Jacket, pneumatically actuated jacket for embodied haptic experiences. That's the name.
Sounds like something right out of Ready Player One.
Right. That's actually funny enough. They have a video and it looks like what this explains is from the movie. So who knows? But leave it to Disney to give something a long name. Now, what this jacket is that when worn, it will simulate anything from being hugged to a snake crawling across your body. It consists of 26 air compartments with a compressor that supplies the airflow. It is designed so that the tubing, air compartments, valves, and so on are effective but yet not bulky. The jacket weighs about 5 pounds, and at this stage of work, the goal is to develop core technology for the Force Jacket that will be sufficient for basic psychophysical assessment and to design and test an initial set of effects. Testing on the jacket included other following feel effects like motorcycle vibrations, muscle enhancements, calm heartbeat, bugs crawling up your arm like in your Bug's Life shanking that you got,
Oh, yay. Fun stuff.
a snowball hitting your chest, a fist punch on the side, heavy
A
rain.
knife in your back.
Sorry.
Here's the attraction where we murder you. And you can feel it.
A
You can
bullet to your chest.
simulated death. Fire, where we actually turn it up to 300 degrees.
And barbecue you.
The real stuff that they also simulated is heavy rain, slime dripping on your back, light rain, a child's hug, a hand tap on the shoulder, and a racing heartbeat. What I think would be kind of creepy is if we had something like the Haunted Mansion to add to the thrill, or something like Alien Encounter, if that was still around. Imagine how scary that would be.
That would be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, you can physically feel them instead of just the shoulder thing where it walked on your shoulders on the harness.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine it just like grabbing you around the chest in a pitch black room. But anyhow,
Licks the side of your face.
yeah, just
Gives you a
like,
back rub, maybe a little back scratch.
I think this would be more useful in like scary attractions rather than fun ones. And I mean, unless like Mickey's hugging you, you could feel it or something like that. But
Yeah, I'll take a couple of those child hugs. That sounds nice. Can I order 2 of those?
they're like, no, instead you're gonna feel a bullet.
You're going to feel slime going down your back. Yeah.
This
that's
is where
great.
Hopper eats you in the Bug's Life attraction instead.
Remember Bruce? You're not his
Bro.
friend.
Yeah. Official friends, not food. And then he actually eats you in the ride. They're like, well, Finding Nemo took a dark turn.
This will be the new way park security gets rid of people.
Yeah, they're like, that lady is a suspected scaredy cat, so let's turn up the scare volume.
Let's take this one up to 11.
But thinking about future possibilities always makes me excited to think about what Disney could do if they put their mind to it. Speaking about what we have today in the parks, this episode, Joey and I will chat here in a bit about what people think about the parks. Last year, I was a guest on Joey's show, and we had a blast reading some of the one-star reviews for attractions and such. And this week, we will read some more and have some more fun. But before that, let's get to the rapid-fire news.
Rapid-fire news.
The new Gods of the Vikings exhibit has made its debut at the Norway Pavilion in Epcot. Guests can visit the Stave Church Gallery and learn more about the crucial roles that the Norse gods and goddesses played in the daily lives of the ancient Vikings of the Scandinavia. We have heard about many of these names from the Marvel movies, but now we can learn the true histories behind legends of the popular Viking gods Thor, Odin, Freya, and Loki. Here's your chance to own a piece of Epcot history. When their Universe of Energy ride shut down last year at Epcot, episode 33, go listen, Ellen was on a mission to get her animatronic that was featured on the ride back. Ellen did eventually get her wish granted, but was surprised to see what the animatronic looked like in real life since it looked horrific. Go back and look at the video, it's pretty bad. Well, that same animatronic is hitting the auction block. On May 5th, the animatronic will be auctioned off in the Animation and Disneyana auction. For display purposes, the head and clothes are original pieces, and they are from the original attraction, and they're displayed on a mannequin. It's kind of creepy. It just looks like googly-eyed Ellen, but not really. It is listed in the fine park used condition with a price range of $3,000 to $5,000. I'll pass. Over at Epcot, cranes and structures clearly visible as the Ratatouille show building is well underway over at the France Pavilion, which is very exciting. And before we get to the main part of the show, Animal Kingdom had their 20th anniversary recently, and although I wasn't there to check things out, I was loving all of the photos people were posting online, and I do have this audio for you guys to listen to from the legendary Imagineer Joe Rohde. Take a listen.
Thanks, Mary Beth. So, 20 years. 20 years of Animal Kingdom is really not just 20 years of the existence of a park. It's 20 years of life. This park is filled with life. The lives of the animals that make it their home, the lives of we Imagineers who work every day on some aspect of this place, the lives of the cast members, both on stage and behind the scenes, who make everything come together, from the rides and attractions to the animals, to the maintenance of all of this stuff, to the field conservation work that's undertaken by our own scientists and by the Disney Conservation Fund, and the lives of all of you, our guests, who have been coming, some of you since you were children, and who have been living the life of this place and been changed by it. Life is not just a biological event. It's everything that makes a life a life. The joy, the struggle, the loss, the triumph, the love, the dreams that make life worth living. When I say life, I mean that. That is here. Animal Kingdom has changed a lot since it first opened 20 years ago. It's bigger, with more attractions, with new faces, and with greater wisdom about itself and what it has to say. But Disney's Animal Kingdom is founded on unchanging values. The value of nature itself as a treasure that cannot be traded, and the value of adventure, of the great change that happens when we step out into something new, something unfamiliar. And the value of a personal call to action. That a story told by Disney can be a story about you, and what you think, and what you are going to do. These things will never change. They come from the animals. And like the animals, they are the heart and soul of this place. We're very fond of calling ourselves magicians. You hear that all the time, referring to the craft that we do as a kind of magic. But there is simply no magic that we could possibly create that can compare to the iridescence of a butterfly's wing, the roar of a lion in the night, the subtle ingenuity of an elephant's trunk. This is a magic that we can only serve. It's the greatest magic of all, which is this magic of the living world around us, the magic of nature. Disney's Animal Kingdom is under its spell, as it has been for 20 years, and I hope it will be for 20 times 20 more to come. Thank you.
I wanted to do something that we did on your show months and months ago, Joey, and it was something that I thought it would be like, oh, this will be cool to talk about and see what people have to say. And it ended up being one of the funniest things we've done because of other people and how dumb they could be sometimes. Let's be honest. Have you guys ever read out there, listening to the show, obviously, because I'm not talking more than one person here. Have you guys ever read reviews and you're just like, oh, mostly people write reviews because they had a bad experience and no one really reads or writes reviews in a positive light that often? Because usually whenever you have a bad experience, you're like, I need to vent to someone and there's no one to vent to. So I'm going to go online and complain about it and maybe other people will read this, but you don't often see good reviews, right? So to me, I just take them with a grain of salt. I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. And same thing with reading apartment reviews or restaurants. So I just go and experience it for myself. But what Joey does is he goes and reads reviews on basically what? To like not do what they do.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we talked about some of these 1-star reviews and it was the funniest thing ever. So Joey is going to do his hack of the week. And
we're talking about Disney World reviews. So what I did was I went on TripAdvisor and I searched for Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom, and I clicked on the 1-star review. It's kind of interesting. So just before we get into that, let me explain here. I'm looking at the Magic Kingdom. Actually, no, I'm looking at Walt Disney World as a whole. So they've got different review pages for everything from the restaurants to the resorts, even the individual attractions, even the transportation. They have a page for the monorail if you want to go talk about how happy or disappointed you are. Clearly, the majority of the reviews on any of these places are very positive. I'm looking at Magic Kingdom. There's 31,000 reviews and 75% of them are 5-star. 75% of the 31,000 reviews.
That's good.
Are 5-star. Yeah, only 3% are 1-star reviews. But when you compare that to the fact that there's 31,000, there's 890 reviews. And that's on TripAdvisor. If you want to have a lot of fun, head over to Facebook. Where there's 1.1 million reviews on the Walt Disney World Facebook page, and 83,000 of them are 1-star reviews. So you can really have a lot of fun learning what not to do based on what people have done in the past, having bad experiences. I noticed that as I scroll through the 1-star reviews, I see a lot of similarities. I see a lot of recurring themes. A lot of people from the UK tend to have really bad experiences. I think that they feel a little jaded. You can read in there that they say things like, the people in the U.S., I got to say it with an English accent, sorry. The people in the U.S., they have a different advantage because they get to go in, just a little Liverpool for you, they get to go in and they get to, get the fast pass 60 days out, but we don't get to do that over here. We only got the 30 days and it's just not fair because I live in the United Kingdom. Anyway, so...
Yeah.
So you do read that a lot. So there's when it comes to themes and repeating patterns, fast pass, cost too much, overcrowded. Let me see some of my favorites that I like to read in here. Oh, almost consistently on if you go read the 1-star reviews on TripAdvisor for Walt Disney World, they almost all end with go to Universal. So clearly, yes, they're writing these out of emotion, but you're looking at people who right out of the gate have a bias toward spending time at Universal versus spending time at Disney. And so it's like too crowded, Fast Pass sucks, cost too much, and I had a better time at Universal, so I'm going to go there every time now. That's pretty much the consistent pattern. If you want, I'd love to read one or two of these, and then maybe read at least one from each, and we can kind of talk about our thoughts from each of them. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we could do that. Like, I always feel that these people, like, it's crazy. They're like, they take one little aspect and write the entire thing horribly because of, like, it was so hot that day, so it was a 1 star. Like what?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. We could do one from each park and maybe one overall or whatever you want to do.
Well, let me do one from each park, and then I'm sure we'll get lots of ideas, because I always, when I read these, I get ideas. I kind of get my own little rants about how stupid people can be, and so feel free to dive in and rant along with me. And I'm sure if you're listening to this in the car, if you get a little bit emotional, you might want to pull over and just kind of let some steam out. Maybe call somebody and scream at them. They can be pretty infuriating, but at the end of all this, I have a little special surprise for you guys. There's actually a feature provided at Disney that has 0 1-star reviews. It even has 0 2-star reviews. It has 0 3-star reviews and 0 4-star. Can you believe that there's actually something you can do at Walt Disney World that has hundreds of TripAdvisor reviews, and
They're all 5s?
They're all 5s.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear what that even is, because I don't know, thinking about it.
All right, so let me read this one here. This is Walt Disney World in general, and so this person is from Phoenix, Arizona, and they wrote, subject line is extremely chaotic, unorganized, no magic. And
They must be talking about the end of the night at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, a lot of these. Okay, so not to get off on a tangent, but one of the first places I went was I started reading reviews for the fireworks show, and some of them are not even talking about the fireworks show. They were like raving about how they had to like go through the back lot and they got pushed out into the parking lot, and they didn't want to go that way, so they had to come back in the park that way, and security wouldn't let them in. It was chaos, but it had nothing to do with the fireworks show. Anyway, this one says, looks like all Disney cares about is ripping people off. People pay exorbitant amounts of money, and if they still can't get to all the decent rides, then it says something about Disney's organization. The key attractions all had 2 to 3 hour lines. Imagine, Rich, little kids having to stay in line that long.
Okay, but 2 to 3 hours each? I don't think so.
Oh, man. It goes on. They say, I am sure if the right mind were put to it, some solution can be achieved. And, which by the way is misspelled, this starts right at the entrance gate. Why are there not any electronic scanners to search bags instead of humans having to do it? Universal was way more organized and more enjoyable than Disney. The park hopper tickets are a scam. They go on to say getting from one park to another is in itself an ordeal. With monorail, misspelled by the way, ferry, also misspelled, etc.
Did he misspell etc. too?
Actually, he didn't put a period at the end of it. I'm not going to be that picky, though. This will take away a good hour. I can understand the fact that Disney wants profit, but this is a daylight robbery in the name of a business. I think this will be my last Disney visit, and here's how they end it. Universal Orlando has my best vote for now. So, and this person's not even from a foreign country. Then I had to make a lot of concessions for how poorly that was written and read it out as best I could, word for word, because there were a lot of missing words and misspelled words. They were very, very upset, and they wanted us to know that Universal Orlando has their vote.
Well,
thoughts? Okay,
so I've been to Universal and recently, and it was actually a nightmare with their little scanners that they have. And yeah, they are like X-ray machines and stuff. It is pretty efficient far as that goes, but beforehand it's just like a massive cluster of people. I think, to be honest, there are positives and negatives about the outside the park experience at every Orlando resort. For instance, I love the parking garages at Universal, and I wish Magic Kingdom had that kind of thing where you park, you're all undercover, you get on the moving walkway, and it pretty much brings you right to the entrance. That's great. There's something that I love about SeaWorld where if you have the app, it shows you exactly where you park on the map. And I kind of wish, even though Disney's like, heroes or villains, and then they have the sections which lot you're in, but still, like, you know, it helps out if it would maybe add it to the My Disney experience. And then Disney, it is kind of inconvenient, but if you think about the word inconvenient, that you're spending 30 minutes on a bus to go to another theme park, it's not the end of the world. You know, you're going, it's like a first world problem is like, the bus took 30 minutes to get from park to park. Well, your day is also like 17 hours long, so it's not the worst. And also, how you mentioned that every line was 2 to 3 hours. Okay, well, that's probably a lie unless you were only in Avatar. And...
Well, this is... Yeah, I mean... Yeah. 2 to 3 hours.
Nah.
Unless it was
Christmas
like the
Day.
busiest day of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's your fault for choosing a massively busy time of year. It's like basically a problem with not doing research beforehand, I think, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I think you'll find that on most of these. I read a few where they were like just downright mad that they had to do any planning at all. It's like you even knew you had to do the planning. And you went and you had a bad experience and now you're mad about it. It's like it's nobody to blame. You can't blame Disney. You knew, but a lot of these people, I'm sure, they just didn't have a clue about planning or anything. This review was posted 6 days ago, but this one that I just read. So you know it wasn't Christmas when they went unless they waited this long to get, you know, calm enough from the anger to actually write an angry review. Here's one for Magic Kingdom specifically. This person's from San Diego, and you're going to love this one. This is my last trip to Disney World, and I promise. I know they have to make money, but they also have to ensure that people have a good time. Overcrowded, as you cannot imagine. The park is difficult to walk through. Disney should limit the number of people that it allows to enter on a daily basis. I mean, there has to be some safety concerns when there is so many people. I suffered 2 times through the attraction malfunction after waiting in line for more than an hour each time, and that's a bummer, I gotta admit. And the staff didn't care. You know, and that's interesting because if you don't know how to play the system, it'll come off as looking like they don't care, but they're just looking to give out fast passes to those who ask. And they said, don't get me wrong, my son did have fun, but I also saw frustration on my son's face. That is something that I don't remember feeling when my dad brought me here. Finally, this is where you're going to love it. Disney? Does Disney really need to make money on water sales? Couldn't they be honest when they say at the Animal Kingdom that they worry about the environment? I mean, what I mean is they should have installed around the park quick water fountains and sell containers instead of asking patrons to buy and waste multiple water bottles.
Containers.
Save the earth, Disney. I spent probably $24 in water.
First
and I've got some thoughts on that, but I really want to hear your thoughts.
First of all, water is free all over every park, and it's cold. All you actually have to do is go up to any quick service and say, can I have a cup of ice water, please? And they'll hand you one, and it's amazing, especially in the hot months. I don't buy any water, especially, what is it, Aquafina? Or something. Or something.
Like, that's a bad thing.
Like,
it's
here's
like, did you hear about the Aquafina scandal? Yeah.
Here's your plastic water, sir, for $8. No, I think it's like $3 a drink, which is pricey, but I would never pay for any water, regardless of the quality. At Disney.
Well, even if you're going to buy an Aquafina, save the bottle and go to the drinking fountain.
Why don't they
fill it up
sell
with that tasty Florida water?
Why don't they sell the container? You mean like the water bottle, or
you mean like a cup?
and
Go buy a soda and save your container.
Yeah, it's like $3. Just buy a drink, dump it out if you don't want the soda, or just ask for a water cup. They even give you those for free. Good God.
For free.
Okay. Also,
So
the ride
Go
breaking
ahead.
down, you're right. What are the cast members going to do, though? Console every guest? Like, I am so sorry. No, the thing is they're trying to get that ride up as soon as possible. You see the frantic look on their faces whenever things break down, and they're like, crap, and they're like calling on the phone to the leaders and stuff. And then, or some of them just don't care because they don't get paid that much to give a crap whenever the ride breaks down, because half the day they're saying, step out and continue on the moving walkway. How many, please? 3, 4, a back row. Like, they don't care about you getting sad that the ride, and I'm not even kidding when I say it. No one cares.
Well, I waited about 24 minutes for Winnie the Pooh when I was there with my family last year, and we got right up to the point where the little gate opens up and you get on the ride, and the ride shut down. Like the car before us left the station, lurched about 8 feet, and then came to a screeching halt. And then out of the woodworks there came 8 or 9 cast members and a guy with a tie. And he's talking to them in a little huddle, and he comes right over to us, and he's like, looks like the ride's gone down. And I just looked at him and was like, okay, what are we going to do about this? And he goes, how about some fast passes for your family? And I could see the people like literally like standing where you said, where they ask you how many people are in your group. Those people are getting upset. And they turned around and walked away while this guy was handing us fast passes. But if they'd have just stayed there for another 5 seconds, he would have walked over to them and gave them fast passes too, because they just stood in line for just the same amount of time. So, and we went and used those tickets to go on some other, it was funny because he gives them to us and it says, fast pass for any ride except Mine Train. So, of course, we used them to bypass, I think it was Buzz Lightyear, because who wants to wait an hour for that? And,
Nobody.
It was great. And we went back a couple days later and rode Winnie the Pooh, and everybody was fine. But you got to know how to play the system. And if you're deep in line, and I'm about to read one for Animal Kingdom where these people waited 3 hours, sat down on the ride, and it shut down on them. Just wait till I read you that one. Yeah, and then they did it again. Wait, I'll get to that in a second. But if you're even in line and you've been there for any more than a half an hour and you're not even close to getting on the ride, you need to just continue down that line until you run into a cast member and be like, look, I have spent a half an hour here. I'm not going to leave and go somewhere else unless I'm compensated for the time I put in to be here before this ride went down. And back in the old days at Disneyland, they would say, come before the fast pass, it was just, hey, we don't know when it's going to be up, but come back in half an hour. I mean, if we're running then, and just let us know, and we'll bring you in through the handicap or whatever. And, that was really nice. I never took advantage of that, but they can give you something now, and you can at least take advantage of that. The other thing I want to say about water is, I know how important it is to stay hydrated. I'm not from Florida, so I really know how important it is to stay hydrated when you're traveling. And so what we tend to do when we go is we buy, because we stay in a condo just off the property, we'll go and get a big case of water. And there's 8 of us in our group, and we get enough water that I'll put about 4 or 5 bottles in my backpack, because I take a backpack in with me. And I know that's not great to waste the plastic and the environment and all that stuff, but this is one of those rare instances where it's nice to just kind of reach into the backpack when the kids look overheated, or when one of the adults just is getting thirsty, and just have a water bottle there. And we tend to keep them and refill them throughout the day. I know at one instance this last trip where we didn't have water on one particular day, and my wife went up to the Joffrey's in Tomorrowland and was just like, hey, can I get a water? And they gave her one, and there wasn't any line, and it was during spring break. So there's ways to get what you need even during the most hectic times. If you're just a little bit observant and a little bit patient, you can get what you need, like a glass of water, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, there's a Joffrey's kiosk right as you leave Epcot, and I grab a cup of ice water almost every time I leave, or a coffee, but usually either the water and the coffee, or both. Or just the water. But I'll grab it just for the ride home, because it's an hour drive or so. But, just for something. And a lot of times you don't think about the fact that you might be dehydrated because you're so busy. So that's what I do. Every time I kind of pass by a quick service, I'll grab a cup of ice water.
It's smart.
Yeah.
It's smart.
Yeah.
All right. Moving over to Animal Kingdom. This is the subject line is worst experience ever, 4 exclamation points. We stood in line in the hot sun for literally, there's your word, literally 3+ hours to get on the Avatar ride. I love how they call it the Avatar ride, by the way, which we'd heard was the best experience ever. Our party was selected. We were given the 3D glasses. We were in the video part of the ride. All of a sudden, the screen goes blank. We were told the building has to be evacuated because of a fire alarm, so everyone is ushered out and the ride is temporarily closed. We come back a few hours later after seeing that it has been reopened. We asked if we can receive. We asked. This is not the time to ask for the fast pass or somehow to re-enter the ride. But she says we asked if we can receive a fast pass so we won't have to wait another 3 hours. We're told that there's nothing they can do. And we'd have to wait again.
Oh, God.
This is beyond ridiculous that they could not accommodate us when we were seconds from being on the ride. They literally sat in their chairs. The ride was just about to start and everything went blank.
Oh.
6 hours of our day wasted on this one ride. This is my first time at Disney and I am so disappointed. From what everyone told me beforehand, this was going to be the most magical experience ever. It has been the complete opposite. I do not get all the hype about Disney at all, and we will never bring our family back here again.
I would say, okay, realistically, my reaction would be like, oh, it sucks, and ask the cast member, like, hey, is there any way we can get a return pass for later? And I would say 99% of the time, like, yeah, man, no problem. Go down and see this person down at the beginning of the queue. And that's what they do. There was a time I broke down. I even talked about it on the show a couple months ago. I broke down in the Hollywood Studios parking lot because it's Hollywood Studios and, luck. But anyway, I had to get my car fixed and yada yada. But while I was waiting for the tow truck, the cast member stayed with us for at least a full hour. Didn't even have to. She could have walked away. She was so great. I gave her a cast compliment, and she actually received it, and they retweeted it and everything. But in the meantime, she stood there, chit-chatted. She gave us water and these coupons that they call no strings attached. And what was on it was a free ice, a free Mickey bar for all of the people in the party, and a free fast pass for any attraction in the park. And it was great. Like, it turned a bad situation good. And all you have to do is realistically, without just yelling at these cast members, just express your unhappiness. And they will most likely do something like that, something nice. And if not, then that's when you talk to an area leader or supervisor or something like that, because some of the cast members don't know that they can do, they don't know that they have the power to do stuff like that, because they do. They're not just supposed to like give things away all day and stuff because it has to be justified, but they can make the situation better, or at least try. And I've heard of situations where they give like free nights in the hotel because of disasters happening, and free tickets, like comp tickets to come back because of something really bad. But simple things like that, where the ride breaks down, it's new and it's highly technologically advanced. So, and that was just a fire alarm. It's not like the ride actually broke down. So I almost guarantee that if you would have walked up to the cast member and said, hey, like, this really is a bummer. We just waited 3 hours. Is there any way we can come back later today or maybe tomorrow during our trip and not have to wait? Is there a fast pass ticket? And I guarantee you they'd probably give you one.
Yeah.
Because, they don't want you to leave disappointed. I blame the guest on that situation.
Absolutely. Well, she said it was her first time going.
Well, she knew about fast passes and all that. So, but that's anywhere though. Like if you go to a restaurant and you receive like horrible service or like the wrong food, or it's taking 45 minutes for something that should only take 20 and it's not even really justified, that's when you talk to a manager. It's not even just a theme park thing. That's just common sense.
It's hospitality.
Right. And that's kind of what Disney is. They're just selling you this entertainment But if you're not entertained because of something that shouldn't happen like that, then that's when you bring it up to them and just say, hey, this thing is a bummer. Is there any way you can kind of help us out to have a better experience? Like, seriously.
Okay,
Don't
got
trust
it.
the My Disney Experience times, because here's a hack. They're almost never actual times on there, by the way. If it ever,
And they're always longer. Yeah.
it's always going to show you a longer time for things that they want to dwindle the line down. There's actually a lot of attractions you could just simply look at the line and judge, like, that's not a 45-minute wait. For instance, Mine Train is almost never the actual wait time. There's a lot of attractions that'll say 20, 30, 40 minutes, and it's like 15, 20 minutes. For instance, the reason why I know this is because of cast members, for one. And two, the day I found out was when I went into Frozen Ever After. It said 35-minute wait. I get to the portion after you go through, what is it, that little sauna? Where he's like, yoo-hoo.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
Wandering Oaken's.
Yes.
Well, anyway, right.
Trading Post. Yes.
Right after that, there's a little fast pass, fast pass kiosk thing, and the cast member. That's where they split you up, whether you have fast pass, and then you stop there and wait. But anyway, on the screen, and I guarantee you, it's still there. On the screen, on the bottom, it says actual wait time. So anyway, on the app, it said 35 minutes. And on the bottom, it said actual wait time, 17 minutes. Now, if you go in there, and I want you guys to go do this, next time you go on that attraction, there's a sticky note covering where it says actual wait time, and it shows you the time. And you can't see it anymore. They covered it up because guests were just peeking over and going, well, it's BS. So I'll try to take a picture next time I go to Epcot and show you this sticky note. It's like just like a Post-it over this on the screen or whatever where the cast members can see it. It's pretty funny. So anyway, that would be my hack, is download the app, check that time because mostly that's correct. Then subtract a little bit of time, and that's your real time. Okay, so if you're wanting to ride Flight of Passage, what I would suggest is battling the crowds. If you have extra magic hours in the morning, just battling those crowds and just waiting, because even though they're all rushing there, it's not a million people rushing. You're still going to probably wait 20, 30 minutes. I mean, unless the line is...
There's still going to be a wait. You're probably going to wait an hour, but it's not going to be... But by the time that hour is done, the rest of the park's going to be open, and you're going to be done with it. And everybody else is going to be flooding over there, and the line's going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple things you could do. Check early in the morning every day for a month away or two or whatever it is. And then if you have a reservation, you can get a couple months out. That, or if you go at night, it's actually not that bad. Even though it says like 90 or 100 or whatever minutes, it's not really that long. And I've done that too, where it said like 210 minutes. And I'm like, fine, I'll wait. And then I go and it's 45 minutes. I'm like, okay. So never trust the times on those wait times. It's always less, even if it's like the worst, like the most popular attraction. So my hack would be find a fast pass, wait in the line, and actually that queue is amazing. So it's kind of worth going in at least one time and waiting the full, for the ride through the queue, because there's so much to look at.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking I don't want to use... I mean, I definitely want to use a fast pass for it because I want to ride it, but I might go through it again, like you said, late at night, like an hour before the park closes, go get in line for it, just so I'm, probably would get through it in 45 minutes to an hour and be able to do that. Yeah, and see the actual queue line. That would be fun for me to do.
Yeah.
Let's get on. I want to do one from Epcot. I'm going to skip Hollywood Studios because let's be honest, right now it kind of deserves all the 1 stars it's getting. And then we'll go to my last one, which is the one that's only 5 stars, and I think you'll be pretty. I don't know if you'll be surprised by it, but I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's worth having a quick conversation around.
Well,
so, here's one
real quick
What's
quick about the Hollywood Studios thing. I wonder if there's any first time visit 5 stars. No, I mean, because we've talked about this before of like what people who've never been ever think when they very first go in the current state of Hollywood Studios. Like, what do you actually, you go in there, you spend $105 or whatever right now, and you walk out and like, what do you actually feel whenever you go in there and then leave? Like, after your day's over, you've done Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Toy Story, Indiana Jones, Star Wars tours, and then you're like, do people think that park was worth the money, do you think?
I don't think, well, I think it depends on how well you set up your expectations. People who did their homework and listen to our show are going to know that they got to set they got to know that it's not, it's
worth $20.
Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Magic Kingdom are supposed to offset that, right? They're supposed to be more valuable than what you thought you paid for it. And we know this one is not as valuable as what you pay for it right now, at least for the next 18 months. But eventually it will be, right? We hope. But I think people just know that it's a half day and at best, and that, they're going to do a few things. When we went, you bet, we went and we went first thing in the morning and got our times for Jedi Academy, and then we left. And we came back at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we had our 3 fast passes for certain rides. We went and did all that. We watched the fireworks show. We did the Jedi Academy, and then we were gone. So, but we had me, so I planned it well. But I think that a lot of people go there, and they're if they don't have the right expectation, if they're thinking it's like all the others, they're going to be pretty disappointed. I'm looking at the reviews here. It's only 60% of the total ratings on TripAdvisor for Hollywood Studios are 5 star, but only 1% are 1 star. So it's a pretty good. Most people rate it 5 star, but 25% are giving it 4 star, as opposed to a lot of the other theme parks are much more 5 star, and then a much smaller percentage in terms of the 4, 3, 2, and 1. Anyway, let me go back to Epcot really quick, because this one talks about the aspect of drinking. So this is a 1 star. This is a guest from Tampa, Florida. And he says, some of my fondest memories of any Disney park are from Epcot. That was a long time ago. Epcot is no longer a peek into the future. It is a look at what happens when you do nothing to update your attractions. Rides, although more adult, quote unquote, are boring and run down. The Epcot Center has become a food and booze emporium where the only thing to do is drink and eat with no seating and huge crowds. Unlike most Disney parks, it is not child friendly, but still, you are treated like a child. Do you smoke? Good luck finding a designated smoking spot, but you can find an alcoholic beverage. In fact, it is uncomfortable because it seems like a Disney-inspired escape for alcoholics. It is by no means fun, and it is depressing to think Disney's experimental prototype community of tomorrow seems to hint at alcoholism as the thing of the future. Save your money instead of paying admission here. Go to Disney Springs, a place for dinner and drinks and shops, no attractions, but really neither does Epcot.
Okay, well, hold on a second, because there's a few things that I agree on, actually. There are no seats, like, anywhere. That is something that's kind of annoying. I'm like, oh, there's a bench in, like, the whole entire country. That's it.
Right.
But the same thing with Magic Kingdom. There's, like, nowhere to ever sit unless you're in a restaurant spending money there. The attractions...
Imagine that.
There's a bunch of updated attractions. Does that mean they're better? No, because, Mission Space, not everyone likes, even though it was expensive. But, a lot of people just pass it up. Finding Nemo is 100% a child's ride, and so is Journey into Imagination. And so is, let's see, the Three Caballeros. So those are not adult rides. Let's see, we have The Land, that's kind of family-oriented. We have Soarin', that's family-oriented. Test Track is family. And then All of World Showcase, I think, is family. It depends on when he went. I wonder if that's like during a festival when a lot of booths were there with alcohol in them, or...
It says reviewed 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so we still have Flower and Garden. And there are booths with alcohol, and he probably, of course, went there when there was like a bachelorette party or something, and he just looked around. Okay, I'll agree that Epcot needs some work, but World Showcase, to me, I never really think of like it's a booze like ridden place, because there's a lot of other stuff you can do. I'm thinking he just went during like a bunch of bachelorette parties or something.
Yeah, I think, again, it's the people you're with, it's the things you're looking to get out of it. I've said this before, you don't really, the magic is not there. It's you bring it with you.
Yeah.
And so, if you're going there and you're a little bit jaded already, you're going to see all the things that you don't want to see, like people drinking and have a good time, people wanting to smoke and they can't find it in the smoking section. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff for kids to do there, for families to do there. I mean, hello, Frozen is a kids ride, in my opinion. I mean, it's based on a movie for kids. Soarin', it's for families, but kids totally feel like they're actually in the experience. You and I got to ride Soarin' as adults for the first time, but kids that ride it, they're going to grow up thinking, man, when I rode this as a kid, it was like I really did it. That's the kind of immersive experience the kids want.
How about this? Like, the only stuff to do in Interventions is all for children. They have the Glidden paint the wall thing. They have the little science show for kids. In the other building, they have Meet Baymax, Joy, Sadness, Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. So that's hardly adult oriented.
The Imagination Pavilion is definitely not for adults.
Unless you want to bask in your sorrows of Epcot of old being dead.
Hey, I got one from Hollywood Studios that I just don't want to pass on.
Okay.
I read this earlier today, and I had it bookmarked, so I'm glad I saved it, because I can't even get to the first word. Here, let me read it to you really quick. Every hour, they have a military parade of Star Wars fighters that is more reminiscent of Germany in the 1933 than anything I've ever seen in America. This fascist display is not only offensive to anyone with sensibilities, but when they get to the stage and shoot their guns, it's the most disturbing. I suspect that Walt Disney would never have approved this type of demonstration. The Disney company should be ashamed.
First of all, that has to be fake, because everyone on Earth knows Star Wars, and they would instantly pick up on that's what that is.
I don't think that it's Disney's job to change up what they're doing for entertainment purposes, because I know that Holly and Peter love that. I mean, they film it all the time when they go there. I know people. I didn't get to see it when I was there, because like I said, I only went for that half day. We went back late in the day, and I think they'd already done doing all of those things. And so I did see Stormtroopers. They gave us a hard time. That was kind of fun, but I didn't get to see the march.
There's no way that the guy's, unless he's really, really just like upset about something from, almost 100 years ago. Basically, they walk down the road and you can hear them talking, and they're like, we're looking for, I forget, but they're just marching, and they're looking around, and they're looking, and then they go to the stage. That has to be fake.
All right. Are you ready for the one that got all 5 stars?
Yes.
This blows my mind. It makes me want to totally do this. It is... And I sent you the link on Facebook, so if you want, put this in the show notes, because I think other people are you're going to want to look at this. You're going to want to read the reviews for this. You are not going to believe this. 351 reviews. Every single one of them, 100% of them are 5-star reviews, and it is for the Disney VIP tours.
Huh. Like the one that's like 6 hours or whatever?
The ones that are like $2,800 for the day or whatever.
You mean the ones where they walk around with you and they ride the rides?
You get a plaid and they drive you. If you want to go from one park to the other, they could put you in an SUV and drive you there. And they, and they like literally walk you in through the Fast Pass on every single attraction. And you have a reservation at any restaurant. So let me read this one here. This is from 4 days ago. her subject line or caption is, "We will be recommending to everyone." 3 exclamation points. We are a family of 7 adults, 4 children, and 1 toddler. Disney World during Easter Passover week is so crowded and the lines are endless. Best decision ever. By the way, all caps. What a difference. We bypassed endless lines and waited at almost 5 to 10 minutes in any line. Anthony and Shay were great. Sometimes if you're there you can get them, like 7 hours is like the minimum, but you can pay to have a VIP all day. It's like $400 an hour, and 7 hours is the minimum. So if you're willing to pay to have them for 16 hours on a long day, you'll have like 2 for it. That's probably why that she names 2 people. We didn't have to look at a single park map once. They guided us through the rides we wanted in a logical order that allowed us to go on many rides in just a few hours. They had everything planned out perfectly, and the day went off without a hitch. Especially appreciative was my husband, who has no patience for lines. Well worth it. We'll be recommending it to all my friends. So if you want to drop, $4,000 on a day, I mean,
$4,000, not including anything, right?
Not including the food or merch or even, I think, your tickets. But she's got 7 adults, 4 kids, and 1 toddler. You're talking 12 passes, 12 park hopper passes for the single day. But in a single day, you're not waiting more than 10 minutes for any ride.
There was 12 total?
Yeah. From what I got, actually,
see.
maybe it's more than that. It's 7 plus 4 is what? That's 11, right? And plus 1 toddler. So, yeah. And I've heard on other podcasts where they've interviewed people that have done the VIP thing. So hey, if you're listening and you've done the VIP tours, please let us know. We'd love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you.
If you break that up, it's just over $300 a person. So I wonder if there's like a group max or minimum or anything like that.
There is, yeah. I don't remember what it is, but you can look it up on their website. They'll tell you there's like a minimum and a maximum for the group size. And yeah, and then like I remember listening to this one lady. She was like, "Yeah, it was around 11:30, and we just rode like our 15th attraction, and we were like, we're hungry." And the person's like, "Where do you want to eat?" And we're like, "What do you recommend?" And he named 3 places, and we're like, "Yeah, Skipper Canteen sounds good." And he's like, "Okay," and he just pulled his phone out and called them, and they're like, "Yeah, we got space for you. Well, let's head over there."
Wow.
I know, like how awesome is that? How can you not get 5 stars?
I usually say stuff like this is not worth it, like that after hours thing that's 3 hours and you pay like $100. You know what I mean? That one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's worth it to me because I'm a pass holder. So why would I waste my money on riding as many rides as I can if I could just ride them here and there throughout the year?
Right.
But if you break this down and you spent basically $100 to get in, you're going to buy your food, which is probably around $50 a person a day or more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, let's just say $200 just on food and entering the park. But then for another $300 something or less, if you have more people, you get basically to ride practically, it sounds like every possible ride that you want to do in a day without delay or waiting for any food because they're just going to hook you up on that.
Mm-hmm. Best seats and shows.
I'm actually going to say that this is probably worth it, even to me. If say I was coming here with my whole family and this is like a once in a lifetime or once every like so many years, I actually probably think that is worth the price.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have said that before, because if you say $4,000, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But then if you break down the price per person, is it worth it to you to pay $300 more? If you're not going to come here for 10 more years, $300 more, you could ride do everything in the entire park with no hassle.
Yeah.
That sounds worth it to me.
If you can afford it, if you're going on a budget and you can't afford it, then you're just going to have to figure out how to get around and do the best you can with what you got. But if you can afford this,
then you do crowd calendars and fast passes and stuff.
Yeah, so you get up for crack of dawn and do the
6
fast
a.m.
passes, 60 days out. Yeah, and you try to get your deals where you can get them. I want to read one more here real quick, but this one says, best way to go at Disney. We were picked up 10 a.m. by our tour guide. First stop was Animal Kingdom. One thing I will say, fast pass with your tour, the Avatar ride, it was possibly the best experience of my holiday. So, imagine what a great way to do Flight of Passage if you've got a plaid with you. They just walk you right through the Fast Pass. Everest is also great. Second park was Hollywood Studios. This is all one day, by the way. Tower of Terror is worth a go. Although for me, I only did this for the kids. I guess he's an older person. I don't like dropping rides, although worth a ride. Aerosmith at Hollywood is great if you like fast loop rides. Then we did Magic. Then we went to Magic Kingdom. Space, and they started at 10 a.m. by the way. That's when their tour guide picked them up. Space Mountain was great for people not with neck complaints. I don't know what she's saying there. Peter Pan was okay if you want to sit down and relax for 10 minutes with air conditioning. Same with The Little Mermaid. I'd never been to Disney. My first experiences with a VIP tour guide. It's very pricey, but I'm telling you 100% it's so worth every penny. On a normal day, you would at most get in 4 rides. With the tour guide, we got in a total of 16 rides and 3 parks. Our experience was superb with our tour guide. So I got to tell you, I think and they have pictures here. They look fantastic. I'm pretty sold on the VIP tour guide now. I just have to find a way to get rich. Maybe win the lottery. I got to play the Powerball or whatever.
Or make the show take off and split our fortunes.
That sounds like a good idea too. I'll get right on that.
You know what though? I do see them all around the park a lot. And the cast member always looks miserable. And maybe it's because they're like following around these rich families and they're like famished. They're like, when do I get to eat? Like, you don't eat, you're our guide.
Well, I think they actually, I've heard on those interviews that they, with the people that have bought them, that have used them, that they eat with the families and they talk while they, tell stories while they eat with them. I think the reason they look exhausted is because they're giving 100% of their attention 100% of the time for like 8 hours. And that's hard.
I spoke to a cast member that did these, and they said it's either the very best experience or the very worst experience. They say they have like such amazing days, though, more or less. They said they have amazing days because the families are great, they're friendly, they're there like being nice, and then they said, and I asked, I'm like, but you also have to have like horrible families that are just rude, and they just like smiled and like nodded. They're like, yeah,
have a magical day.
yeah, it's a good send off. Man, I love those because you just see what kind of people are out there that put these ratings on these sites. And it's like they don't even read other reviews before going to these places. And then they post their review.
Yeah. I know, right? It's like, you went and wrote a 1-star review. Why didn't you take the time to go see what other people had to say before you went?
Exactly. All right, now let's take a ride on Test Track.
Hello. The seatbelt check is around the corner. For your safety, remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. And please supervise children. Thank you.
Automated driving technology activated.
Welcome to the Sim Track. We'll begin with the capability test to see how your vehicle designs perform under challenging weather and surface conditions.
Monitoring road surface.
Connecting to OnStar.
SimCar performance data acquired.
Let's see how your designs hold up now.
Commencing SimCar off-road and extreme weather sequence. Capability test results displayed and verified.
Now let's see how your vehicles compare when it comes to their efficiency.
Scanning sim car for optimal eco efficiency. Engaging eco scan for aerodynamic efficiency. Drive systems analysis. Hyperspectral imaging in progress. Calculating total enviro impact. Commencing responsiveness test.
Okay, the responsiveness data is now being synchronized.
Automated driving technology verified and active. Automated crash avoidance technology disengaged. Displaying responsiveness data.
Here comes the final test.
Energizing for power test. Displaying power test results. SimTrack performance testing complete.
This concludes your performance testing. You'll be able to see how your Chevrolet custom concept vehicle designs compared with the sim car after you disembark. Please watch your step as you exit, and remember to take all your personal belongings with you. Be sure to check your final performance numbers in our scoring area.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to Michael Pitcher for the show music, music by the Disney Company and other copyright holders. To find us on social media, search for One Little Spark Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For show notes, pictures, and more, check out onelittlesparkpodcast.com. Thanks for listening to this week's show, and just remember, tomorrow is just a dream away.